There's so many people that are looking forward to Freddie. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chaos. My name is Brad, and that is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and we made it our mission to help you guys own it. What's up, Fat Man Zoom? How are you, my man?
What's going on, man? Doing well. Starting five for today is Sean Ethier, Savvy Money Show, Zain Khan, Arnie Varnicker, and Tim G. Double O. What's up, guys?
Shout out to you, bro. Some of the pronunciations of this, like, I butcher them like crazy.
I appreciate that, man. I take pride in that. I'm trying to find out for you guys if Freddie actually, in fact, bought any of those stocks. But he's not going to be here today. So let's get that out of the way.
Freddie, yeah, no Freddie today, unfortunately. Let us know today that he's got his day job obligations to tend to, unfortunately. So he won't be here today. We'll have him back next week.
Yeah, Ivan, I think that's a good conversation is what Freddie has to say about John Gruden. John Gruden, not only John Gruden, but so many other people are coming under fire.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a story that probably continues to move.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer. I mean, obviously this is a really important situation, but like with Lamar Jackson and Monday Night Football and the way that went down, it was just like it was all overshadowed by this John Gruden news, which kind of irritated me a little bit because I wanted to see what everybody was saying about it because I was trying to watch ESPN and it's like, all right, just get on with what happened last night. But yeah, people who think the John Gruden story is the only thing that's going to come out of 650,000 emails that are being investigated. I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot more chips to fall, I think.
Well, I mean, the irony is that Adam Schefter actually broke the news on Monday Night Football, and then he's already one that's come out. So
yeah,
he's coming under heat he's being exposed from those emails as well. But yeah, they're going to be a lot more. Juden, honestly, I don't know. I guess I kind of like Gruden in the past, but like, I can't say this doesn't surprise me. And like, honestly, I could care less that he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'll say that. Do you see the thing with like Keyshawn Johnson just kind of like went on a tangent about him? It was like,
really?
I knew this the whole time. Yeah, like way back in, when they won the Super Bowl together and stuff. He's like, I kind of knew he was kind of a piece of shit the whole time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, he was trending everywhere. It was pretty crazy.
Housekeeping. We need Freddie for space travel and cancel culture. Yeah, I mean, especially cancel culture. It's just easy to have a comedian to tackle those topics.
Yes.
Because Lord knows when you guys get your hooks in, you start getting all
in your feelings.
Yeah. So yeah, we will see many more retirements.
Yes.
Be prepared for the retirements.
Some more firings.
But anyways, going on in the market, good day. I know you guys, the topic is a little bit general and vague, but we have some good conversations that we're going to have. One of the main things, obviously, we're talking about sort of why the market's doing what it's doing, and it's certainly had a great day for most things. We're going to talk about bank earnings, crypto, specifically Ethereum doing really, really well, Bitcoin doing well. And then we're going to tackle some NFTs, which we've talked about some, but we really haven't talked about as much as we probably should or will moving forward in the future. But just talking about the general market, how's your account doing today?
Man, like I'm frustrated as shit right now. I was up like a ton and I'm still green. Like I'm not going to sit here and complain, but like I was up 4.5% in the middle of the day and now I'm only up 1.5%. And it's just been like the thing that keeps on going in the entire week over the last couple of weeks where like you just see this nice move up and then it just fizzles out the rest of the day. I thought for sure that we were going to start to see some really strong moves today and we did, but they just can't seem to hold up. And that's what the big frustrating part about this last couple of weeks has been. And I know I have my plan in place. I'm not going to deviate, but I'll be lying if I said I wasn't frustrated about this. It's just super annoying.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that boat where you kind of start strong and then it fizzles out. I'm pretty much in the same spot. I was up almost 3% earlier, and I'm at about a 1.5%, which is slightly underperforming the market.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get that. However, I do feel like there's the tide turning on a lot of stocks, which is very, very promising. Palantir is actually holding up very well. a lot of like the tech speculatives are bouncing back. Shopify had been bouncing back. I don't know what it did today, but Shopify had been doing well.
Tech in general, yeah.
But like those speculative ones that have been down, even while tech has been well, Big C, even Affirm, let's be real, before the Amazon news, Affirm was underperforming.
Yeah.
And so it seems like other ones are potentially catching up in general. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep an eye on that. Penn seemed to be the big winner as far as online sports betting. Casino stocks are concerned. So I'm leaving this week very optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too. I don't think I don't mean to sound like, I don't know, I guess just a complainer, but this today seemed like it felt different, even though we're seeing a similar sell off that we saw differently. Usually what's been happening is like the market opens green and then it just goes crazy.
Yeah.
And then it just sells off. Today it was like it opened green. It looks like it's going to close green, hopefully, fingers crossed. So that would be a little bit of a different story. And a lot of that has to do with the banks and how they've been reporting over the last couple of days.
Yeah, we can get right into it. Let's talk about the banks. So this morning we had Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup. I don't think I'm missing anybody, but those were sort of the big ones that reported.
Yeah.
And they all did really well. They were looking good pre-market. They actually pulled back and a couple of them went red, and then they just went on another run.
Yeah. Morgan Stanley reported earnings of $1.98 per share, which beat the analyst consensus of $1.69. They came in and just crushed everything. It was a 19.28% increase over earnings. And Bank of America was also, I'm sorry, I had Citigroup on here as well. They posted a 48% jump in profits. So just good stuff all around. But I don't know if anybody was necessarily surprised. We kind of said that we thought the banks were going to do well. What's going to really be the big thing is going to be next week when we have some of the bigger tech names report, Apple, Tesla, some other ones. So it'll be very interesting to see how the market reacts to, things. Is the supply chain going to continue to be an issue? We've heard, between last night and today, the ports over in California going to 24-hour shifts essentially, and they're just going to be open until they get the supply chain issues solved. So maybe that part of things is behind us. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, next week is going to be a very interesting week, and I'm super excited that we're going to be live for it every day next week.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, yesterday afternoon, Biden had a conference call, and it was, I believe it was Walmart, Home Depot, and FedEx were on the call. And basically he was addressing the supply chain issue. And what he recommended were round the clock labor staffing for ports. So specifically Port of Los Angeles, Port of Long Beach, which accounts for 40% of the incoming cargo.
Yeah.
Domestically.
It's a shit ton.
And so they talked about that. And then those companies also talked about how they're going to support that. And they too are also moving to the 24-hour shifts. So quickly trying to address it. We talked about it yesterday, but for those of you who didn't really hear that conversation and with the new news, what do you think as far as like the comeback and it sounds like you attribute today's move more on the supply chain rather than the banks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think the banks is what people were expecting to have had happen. So I don't know if necessarily that the market's surprised about the way the banks performed. So the only other thing that I can attribute to this to is the supply chain issues. And we've already heard some of the companies mention, and including the chip companies, we mentioned that yesterday, say that the worst of this could be behind them. So that only means that we can only go up from here. And so if that's the case, and if we get through some of the supply chain issues and we're able to keep the shelves stocked for the holiday season, then I think that we'll be fine. The other thing is too, I was listening to CNBC this afternoon. Jim Leventhal was talking about how, a lot of this was already priced in, with the way that the market corrected on the supply chain issues. We've been talking about this for a while, and some of this could already be priced in. So if these earnings come out and they mention things like supply chain issues affecting them, it's like everybody already knows. So how much further can we go down based off of just that news alone? So it made sense to me. I think that I would tend to agree with that. And, again, it'll be interesting to see what we what gets revealed next week as far as earnings are concerned.
Yeah, and yeah, I would agree with the fact of there's already things built in and priced in. If you say the chain is a challenge in your earnings, I don't think it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
Like it's just a reality, or it's a reality that's already known. So I think what it's more there's more upside potential if you say, hey, it hasn't hurt us as much. You look at somebody like Tesla, it hasn't hurt us as much.
Yeah.
We've talked about Lululemon. They have other revenue stream opportunities that maybe mitigate their risk a little bit. So it's certainly interesting to see. Semiconductors have been a huge bright spot.
Yeah.
They are just crushing it. AMD particularly, AMD, NVIDIA, ASML, which was on the watch list recently, they're all doing really, really well.
Yeah, AMD made a huge jump yesterday. It's up another 2.5% today. We actually talked about ASML back in April and mentioned that we felt as if that would be a $1,000 stock, and that was around $600 a share. It's still doing extremely well. That's up another 4% today. We look at the daily chart on that, and it has really started to make the turn here. I think that we could start to see ASML make its way to that 50-day moving average at $800 a share, and after that, man, I think it probably does continue to rock and roll. If you are a semiconductor company, if you're a chip maker, chances are you are working with ASML in some form or fashion. So if all the other chip makers are doing well, chances are ASML is too. So take your pick here, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of the big ones: AMD, NVIDIA, ASML. They're all going to continue to do well.
Yeah. We talk about this analogy when you look at the gold rush and um, the most, with the gold rush and thinking about the gold miners, the most successful people created out of that, or the wealthiest people created out of that, were those who sold supplies.
Yeah.
So you think about it's like called the pickaxe analogy. And so the ones that sold that to the gold rush, it wasn't the winners weren't those who struck gold. The winners were the suppliers.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about a few stocks that actually fall into that category. And I'm going to bring up another one that we talked about beforehand. But the one we've been talking about recently is ChargePoint, which has been like just shaky today. Just hasn't really done anything.
Yeah.
But ChargePoint, we feel really good about, especially given the rise of oil, the continued growth and the future of EV. ChargePoint stands to benefit EV charging stations. The one you just mentioned, ASML, they have proprietary technology. So there are certain products that only they build.
Yep.
Huge for chip companies. And then another one I'm going to throw in that mix, and that's Coinbase.
Yes.
The broker, right? So like Coinbase, I mean, I don't know how I missed this. And I believe you mentioned that this was profitable on a live stream before when it went public. You mentioned that it was profitable, which is rare for these type of companies. IPOs, digital technology, they're usually going public because they need money and they're in debt.
Yeah.
This one didn't. Their fundamentals look good. Their PEs look good. Their growth is crazy. Their cash on hand is nuts, just by IPO standards. And so, man, I keep looking at this and I like it. And I'm thinking, I had a friend call me about Shiba, and like that's all well and dandy. Like, rather than trying to pick the next coin that's going to go off, why don't you just pick what's going to benefit no matter what coins goes off? So if you believe in blockchain, if you believe in crypto, Coinbase seems like a great opportunity. Not to mention, they just launched their NFT peer-to-peer marketplace.
Yes.
Which is huge. NFTs, like, to me, we have to have some exposure to NFTs as well.
It's a new frontier for sure. Coinbase, we put on the watch list, and this is the only thing that you can pin up against Coinbase, because to your point, yes, fundamentally it's a great company, and we've made mention of that. You look on the daily chart, and it has not gotten the kind of love that it deserves based off of what we saw on IPO day. If you guys recall, for those of you around, we actually ended up watching this kind of like take a nosedive, and Kathy Wood and Jim Cramer, all those other folks were crazy about Coinbase, and for good reason. But then, it follows the price of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, the stock price just does. It goes the way that Bitcoin does, or cryptocurrency all around. And that's the only knock against it. But as far as the company is concerned, it is going to continue to do well. And if you think that Bitcoin is going to go where to 100K or whatever, even higher than that, then you might not have a problem holding on to Coinbase. But it's going to as long as you go into it with the mindset that it's probably going to continue to move as crypto moves, and you're okay with that, then having exposure to Coinbase makes all the sense in the world.
Do you think as more earnings come out and they talk and they show their exposure to non-Bitcoin assets, do you think that it becomes less reliant on Bitcoin or less sympathetic to Bitcoin?
In theory, you would think that it would, and I hope it does. I think it's going to take a long time for people to buy into that.
Well, I think it depends on how much revenue's in there. If they're saying that 50% of our revenue comes from people buying Bitcoin, but then you find out that it's 5%, I would imagine that it wouldn't, as like, I'm not sure what that split is, but
it's got to be better than Robinhood's.
Well, what was Robinhood's? I forget what it was.
Remember, 60% of trades that were made were on crypto, and so that was their exposure just in crypto in general. 60% of that, I want to say, or a large percentage of that revenue came from trading Dogecoin last quarter.
Oh yeah.
It was just like an unbelievable number that we were like, holy shit, that's not sustainable.
Yeah. So I think there's just lack of historical data for Coinbase. And so my hope is that as we get more data and we show, maybe it shows that it's overly reliant on Bitcoin, but I'm not sure it does. I would imagine, especially give it a couple quarters with this NFT marketplace. I love that. I love what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the growth of Ethereum. It was crazy, man. Do you remember when it was like a year ago, I talked about, I was going to make a decision between I was just going to enter into crypto.
Yeah.
And I was trying to determine between Bitcoin and Ethereum. At the time, it was not a popular opinion for me to say Ethereum. And a lot of people said I was crazy with that.
John Fran.
And did he?
Yeah, remember?
I don't remember, but what I'll say is time and time again, we talk about Ethereum just continues to outperform. It just does.
Yeah.
And so if more people, it seems like more people are picking up on that. And so that only bodes well as well, rather than relying on one current altcoin, you get two. That at least moves you in the right direction. So I hope the narrative around Ethereum actually increases as well, which seems ridiculous to say because it's number 2.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as hype as Bitcoin gets. Like people don't really talk about Ethereum, and it's just been a beast.
It's more of an afterthought for sure.
Yeah. So are you gonna buy crypto or what?
I know, man. I keep putting it off. I don't mean to put it off.
Bullshitting.
I am. I don't mean to put it off. I just keep kind of forgetting about it because I'm wrapped up in everything else. Yeah, I just need to get on it.
Did you decide what you're going to get?
I'm going to get Ethereum.
Oh, I thought it was Bitcoin last time.
It was going to be Bitcoin, but I'm going with Ethereum.
I sold you?
Yeah.
What's the reasoning?
Just because historically it does outperform, and even though it's made some pretty strong moves, I don't think the parabolic move has actually happened with Ethereum.
I would agree with that.
Not like we saw with Bitcoin. And so I think that it's still in early stages for Ethereum, and we could easily see this to 10K. And it wouldn't take much to get it there. And so I think that Ethereum would be the first one that I would actually end up going with.
So, okay, well, good for you. I appreciate that. I think that's a smart move, obviously.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can't go wrong with either. And I've actually recently started increasing my stake in Bitcoin because I had small stake comparatively to Ethereum, but I've started increasing it only because Bitcoin is more of a hedge for me, and only because I think we're gonna, as more cash becomes available for these companies, and we realize that the economy is just fine, like we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
There's deployment of capital is going to be the conversation. And it's kind of gotten quiet on the front of all the institutions buying. Remember we had that run where like Square, Tesla, all these companies were buying Bitcoin as a hedge on their balance sheet. That's kind of gone quiet, and I don't think it stays quiet for long. So I think that could be that next push. Basically what I've said is for us to get to like 75K or 100K, I think the key is going to be institutional buying returning.
I agree. I mean, and that's what moves the markets essentially.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're looking at, how Apple moves and how Amazon moves. They're only moving like that because of the big money that comes in and actually influences the price of the stock. It's not people like you and me.
Yeah.
It's the big money. So when the big money starts to really accept it, and we're starting to see that in little bites at a time. BlackRock has admitted that they're looking to work their way into cryptocurrency a little bit more. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all of them are starting to get their way into that. It's still very early innings, but I agree. I think once the big money really starts to buy into it, it should go crazy, and it's still early.
Housekeeping says, slap that like button, you cowards. I like that.
That's right, guys. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show so far. We got 18 likes. We can get that much higher.
So one of the things I put was Ethereum to 4K, which has been key. Like for me as a holder of Ethereum, I've been really wanting to see that 4K.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around it hitting 4K and where it can go from there?
I think 4K is very achievable. Do you have a timeline in which 4K is going to be?
I mean, I think 4K is any day now.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm just wondering when this breakout is like, where can we expect it to go? And let's just talk about by the end of the year, because you still have your prediction out for Bitcoin by the end of the year. What was that?
100K.
100K. So Ethereum, we never really did a prediction for that.
Ethereum by the end of the year, I think hits 5 easy. If this gets to 4, which is going to be resistance for it, it gets to 4 and breaks over 4, then this should have a monstrous breakout. We take a look at Bitcoin, and it should get some sort of similar move as well. There it is. So Bitcoin's at 57. It's kind of been hanging around here. We saw this at 60 something, 64, I want to say was the highs of Bitcoin, 64.9. So same type of deal. It's got about roughly percentage wise the same amount of room to run in order to experience that kind of breakout. So right now, as it stands in the short term, Bitcoin's got to get up over 59. After 59, I think that 64.9 starts to look more like a reality. And same thing with Ethereum. If we look at just the charts in general, we got 4K here, and then 4,300 is going to be that high that we saw around the same time we saw Bitcoin go crazy. So that 4K is going to be that resistance for it. I think 5,000 certainly achievable by the end of the year still, as long as this trend continues.
Here's where I'm interested. So then if you think Bitcoin would get to 100K and Ethereum gets to 5K, you're talking about an implied move of 25% for Ethereum, but nearly 50%, let's just say 40% for Bitcoin. So why wouldn't you just get Bitcoin then?
I don't know. I'm not saying that Ethereum, the ceiling for Ethereum is 5K by the end of the year. I mean, maybe it goes higher.
So you're saying just because you're going to be holding on to this and you're not going to be going in and out of it from a longer term horizon, you think Ethereum will continue to outperform?
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Percentage wise. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. What do you have any thought? I'm kind of putting you in the spot with all these questions, but do you have any thoughts on why Ethereum would continually outperform Bitcoin, especially because Bitcoin dominates the headlines?
Yeah, it's the use cases, I think. Ethereum, Bitcoin has already been one of those things where it's kind of.
I hate this chair.
Good. Yeah, we need to get new chairs. Donate to the channel so we can get new chairs, or just donate us some chairs. That's fine.
Because we don't have enough to buy new $50 chairs.
That's right.
But if you donate, we will name them after you, almost like sponsorship at universities.
I like that.
This could be
your name could be on my ass.
This could be like the Sean Ethier chair. The Ethereum chair.
But as far as Bitcoin's concerned, I think it's more now looking as a store of value. We heard Chamath Palihapitiya talk about a couple weeks ago about how Bitcoin could essentially replace gold. And that is a distinct reality. Whereas Ethereum, I think, could be used more of like actual currency. And I think that's why I could see the value there being even greater than something like Bitcoin. Whereas Bitcoin's just, this is where I'm going to park my money when I don't know what to do with it. Ethereum's kind of like one of those things where if I want to see some more explosive growth and risk a little bit more, with getting that reward a little bit more, then maybe I put my money in Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, as more people understand and learn about the NFTs and blockchain, and I'm far from a subject matter expert as far as that's concerned, and myself included needs to learn a lot more. But when you think about it now, it makes a ton of sense to me. And as more people find out and as more use cases come live, I think the excitement and anticipation is only going to continue to grow for Ethereum and the likes of Ethereum. But bro, you think about not only like live use cases. So we talked about smart contracts, we talked about collectibles, all those things. But you also think about the metaverse and you think about what could happen in the metaverse.
Yeah.
And NFTs in the metaverse. Like NFTs should be huge for the metaverse. So that's exciting. And so that kind of transitions into the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was a company that's online sports betting that we've not been huge fans of. And that's DraftKings. And so I had found an article where DraftKings recently announced they're getting into the NFT game. So they had auctioned off Usain Bolt NFTs, which did awesome, sold out. And now they just announced that they're about to launch NFTs for Rob Gronkowski, which should do well. So they have a partnership, I believe, with autograph.com, I guess from a verification perspective. But Tom Brady is one of the main investors for them. So it makes sense that Rob Gronkowski, there's a tie there.
Yeah.
So you think about the exposure that DraftKings is going to be able to get in NFTs as far as NFL is concerned, and more athletes and more sponsorship. They obviously have brand recognition. I'll be honest, man, this made me sort of like take another look at DraftKings. And I think obviously there's the concerns are still there, but overall, DraftKings entering the NFT game is a smart move. And I think it's a great move.
It's definitely a smart move and a great move. The question is still going to be, when are they going to start making money?
Well, when you sell out NFTs, I mean, the margin's ridiculous. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah, the margin is
they're addressing what the pain point is.
Yeah. And we know that Aunt Kathy loves this one. It's a great disruptor. So there's definitely bullish cases for this. It's just a matter of like, when are they actually going to start turning a profit? And is it going to be sooner rather than later, especially as we start to see interest rates continue to go up? DraftKings will definitely be one of the ones that could get hurt the most out of all the casino or sports betting stocks.
Yeah, so I'm here to say on public record, you folks that have been all about DraftKings, I ain't mad at you. And I like it. And to be honest, at some point, it doesn't, we've talked about this, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's like huge. Obviously, if NFTs become huge and a huge revenue generates, are great. I just like companies that try new things and go a different direction. This makes a ton of sense. It's in line with their business model. If any online sports betting company would do it, it would be them. So I'm just saying, I'm becoming increasingly bullish on DraftKings and the approach they're taking. And so if I was in DraftKings, I'd be very optimistic about the future, because I'm in it before the revenue hits the balance sheet, which could come in a couple quarters. But as they start talking about that, expect some excitement, anticipation around DraftKings and their NFT opportunities that they're creating.
Yes, sir. With that, the markets are closed. They did end up closing green. S&P 500 closed up 1.7%, which was good for 74 points. The Dow was up 532 points, 1.5%, and the Nasdaq was up 1.73%. The tech outshined everybody today. Really, really solid day so far. Hopefully, we can see this kind of continue.
Yeah, for sure. What was your big winner today?
My big winner was Apple, I think. Yeah.
Oh, really?
My Apple calls. Yeah, I went crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are your Apple calls? Do you have leaps or do you have just?
No, so I have Apple calls. I have 3 calls for 140 strikes. So I'm in the money on that. They expired December 17th of this year. And then I have 150 calls that expired November 21st. I have 10 of those. Down pretty substantially on those, but the 140 strike is offsetting a lot of those losses. So I think they're both going to probably end up being really green by the time I even get close to expiration on those. But yeah, pretty solid move on Apple. Facebook's what killed me. I was in Facebook calls, but they expire tomorrow and they're going to be worthless. So is what it is on that. But Apple is a big winner, and OIH closed above 220. That was one of our watch list specials. You guys know it's one of my strongest convictions, and it has been for quite some time. And that was rocking and rolling today too. So pretty good to see that one move. So those are my two big winners: was Apple and OIH.
Yeah, Marathon Oil, BP. I sort of play off that. Those went well, and who else did? There was another stock that had done really well that I was actually kind of surprised with. I just saw 24% for Marathon, but that's like my total unrealized.
Oh,
for a second, I was like, "Oh shit!" On the day,
still a solid day.
Let's go.
Solid trade.
Yeah, but a lot of sorry guys, a lot of good stuff out there. Here's for my yeah, really well. Actually, I don't know if you remember, but I got into Morgan Stanley yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I got in after JP Morgan reported yesterday. Is that correct? Or who was it that reported yesterday?
Yeah, Morgan Stanley.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. JP Morgan Chase. Yeah. JP Morgan.
So JP Morgan reported after they reported yesterday, kind of gave me the indication that we're good on banks. I got into it. Market open. So far that's playing out. I'm happy with that play. And I am ready, people, for Palantir to go off. I'm just saying, Palantir and ChargePoint, I'm ready for it to go off. So hold down the inflation and let's rock and roll, baby. I'm excited. I can just feel it in my bones that Palantir is just primed and juicy.
One of the watch list darlings that we have, well, I guess one of the strong convictions that we have on the watch list is FedEx. Daniel Camarena, shout out. Good to see you again, bro. Says the guys at FedEx is spending money on raises and incentives for us drivers, giving bonuses for no accidents and giving us a raise. They said that they're still heavily hiring as well. We like FedEx too. FedEx is probably going to, we've put this on the watch list quite a few times for our KS crew members, and it is now at 227. We had mentioned that 220, we take a look at the chart here and bring it back out to the daily. I had mentioned that 220 was a support for FedEx, and really solid day for it today, especially as these supply chain issues continue to alleviate. If it breaks up over the 227.5, I think that FedEx also starts to make a really solid turn. So anybody who is in part of our KS crew watch list, look, it's sitting pretty if you guys took advantage of the FedEx bottom support there.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm struggling on this idea of companies spending more money. So on one hand, you have companies spending money, which could be good, in general, especially when you're talking about incentives, raises, and stuff like that. Specifically the airline industry. So the airline talked about rising costs and eating into margins, really revolving around gas pricing, oil.
Yeah.
But also, I worry about this labor issue and are they raising them because they're trying to keep people? Are they raising them because they're trying to attract people? And if they all do that, that's fine. But what I'm worried about is that it's going to further eat into their margins.
Yeah.
Now so to me, it's like a 50-50 case. This is great. They're spending the money. So it's 50-50 in how it's going to fall. But then the reason why I like something like Facebook is because it's been beaten down so much that I'm willing to take a flyer on the one that's beaten down. That's basically an overreaction in our opinion.
Yeah. Risk reward.
And do that. But I don't necessarily, I just wonder that it's been on my mind recently. How's this really going to play out? And how much are companies going to really have to fork out, especially the airlines, because of these staffing issues?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because, the airlines have always been a struggle. Even in 2019, before the pandemic, airlines were always a struggle for sure. I don't know, man. I think you might be onto something as far as that's concerned. And I guess we'll have to wait and see what American Airlines and Southwest and JetBlue, some of the other ones, report what they talk about as far as spending is concerned. But they're always kind of like a cash burn type of.
Yeah.
It always seems like they're getting bailed out to some extent.
I know they are.
Yeah, all the time.
They literally are.
Whether we're going through an economic crisis or not, it's like they're always getting bailed out.
Yeah. Which should give you.
And they have to be.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
You got to let it fail and something better will come along. That's my belief.
The airlines, I mean, the infrastructure part of airlines, I don't know.
Just like banks, it's the same thing. Like you got to let you, I'm as much as things seem unrealistic, like you can argue that this all follows apart, or you can argue that something better comes along. Hey man, I trust Elon, man. I'll give a little call to Elon. I'd rather have Elon create a solution than put a Band-Aid on something and keep working. That's just my thought. It's what you believe. Maybe I've got my tinfoil hat on, but I've got to be honest. I think that certain high-profile people put fear out a little bit more because, listen, these companies grease their palms. The banks, the airlines, they're the worst at it. They lobby, get people in their back pocket, so then they convince you that we can't let them fail. Like Ford Motors didn't fail, right? Yeah. Like the ones that run the best, they survive, and then they're better for it. Now Ford Motors stock has been pretty flat for 10 years. I'm just kidding. I looked at my, I had a random Charles Schwab account. Side note, they sent me a statement. I'm like, oh, I forgot I had this account, like a Roth that I had forever ago. Yeah, and it had Ford, Under Armour, and Apple. My Apple's up like 600% or something.
Stupid amount, yeah.
And Ford's up like 12%. You son of a gun. But it's green, whatever. But anyways, I digress. But my point is, like, honestly, I get it, but I wonder how much of it is legitimate and how much of it is like, listen, this is the invisible hand at work. Like, I don't know how it works out, but sometimes when things fail, they get better. Nobody bailed us out over COVID, right? Yeah. Like you had to figure it out. Most business owners had to figure it out. And a lot of times they end up better for it because they have to be more efficient. They have to get creative. They have to do whatever. So,
well, I mean, to be fair, there was a shit ton of PPP loans that are forgivable loans that.
Yes. Okay. Well, you look at the recession before and the housing market crash. I mean, we've had recessions where typically they do, but yes, that is a good point. I didn't take PPP for my business.
I didn't either.
So yeah, there are people who got bailed out in general. Again, that was a move and certain companies needed it, but a lot of people got it that didn't need it.
Right.
Like most people that needed it actually did not get the PPP, if you want to be real.
We're looking at you, Ross Gerber.
Somebody else, who else? I feel like there was a famous athlete that got that's actually, I thought, getting investigated. I wish I remember who it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was a football player. But yeah, that's the point, is like there's all these scammers and I don't know. Whatever. I digress. Let bad companies fail. The failed companies will probably get bought out. They could.
Yep. Then you start talking about monopolies and that sort of thing and all that.
I just think that Elon could do it better.
I think there's a lot of people that could do it better.
So, and that makes, but didn't he have some sort of weren't they also building, maybe it was SpaceX. I don't know if it was Tesla or SpaceX. Weren't they supposed to build like a vertical liftoff airplane? Wasn't that Tesla or some project Elon was involved in?
Maybe. That wouldn't surprise me.
A vertical takeoff plane.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That would be badass.
They already have them, but they're propelled.
Okay.
Like they're prop planes.
Yeah. Have you seen the I'm going way off. Have you seen the TikTok with the military guy and the hover hands?
Oh yeah. That guy's crazy.
Those things are badass.
Yeah. I would definitely kill myself on one of them. Why women live longer than men, people.
Is that Co Frankie?
What?
Is that Co Frankie?
No way, is that Colin? What's up, brother?
It don't even matter if it's Co Frankie.
It doesn't. But
what's up, Colin?
That's gotta be him.
What up, boy? Hey, I got one for you. Oh man,
sandbagging son of a bitch.
You sandbagging son of a bitch. Yeah. As we wind down, bottom line is, what's going to happen next week, Brad?
It's anybody's guess. All I'm saying is that I'm super pumped for next week. It's going to be just wild. It's been so boring over the last couple of weeks that we've really struggled to find things to talk about. And by the way, we appreciate you guys hanging out and still just appreciating the amount of work that does go into, because we struggle. But next week, I'm super pumped.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the beginning. Like, banks kicked it off, great earnings. Tech's going to take the baton and just crush it. I believe it.
Yeah.
And so I think that we're going to lead. This is going to be the catalyst and the fuel that gets us through the end of the year and gets us moving back on track. So I know it's felt kind of sideways lately, but I'm excited for these earnings. And I think the next 2 weeks are the most critical for the rest of the year and really setting us up for a good 2022.
Well, we've said that we think the market's going to go crazy towards the end of the year, and this could definitely be the catalyst. I mean, if it's not this, what is it? If it's not earnings and if it's not, upbeat guidance, then what is it? And I think that it has to be it. And obviously there's the Santa Claus rally and all that good stuff, but it is Colin. It is Colin.
He said Michael Kendrick's insider trading. I thought there was a PPP thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, always good to see a Man Meal dude coming in the house.
Yeah.
We need to start doing some shorts at Man Meal.
I'm down with that.
And speaking of Frankie, shit, I wanted to, Frankie, what's his podcast? Something Jocks.
Yes.
Damn it. I totally, it's at the tip of my tongue. Bro.
It is a Jocks. Something Jocks.
Damn.
Jock Jams. Remember Jock Jams back?
I do remember Jock Jams. I wanted to give him a shout out to his podcast.
Hold on.
He's actually supposed to come here and film sometime.
He does need to come here and film.
He'll text me.
Period. Just get your ass here.
I want to get it. I want to remember it. It's Jock Talk. Is it Jock Talk?
I don't think it's Jock Talk. Hold on. Oh, shit. I feel Jock Support Podcast.
Jock Support?
That's what it says. Jock Support.
Like Jock Strap?
Yep. Jock Support.
Guys, check out the Jock Support podcast.
At Jock Support. Yeah.
Their branding's cool. I love their branding.
It is cool. It's like Saved by the Bell kind of vibe.
Saved by the Bell. Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
Miami Vice.
Yeah.
We got a new crew member.
There we go.
Jock Support. Why didn't I remember that?
It is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Just got to take care of the boys.
All right, man. I think that's all. At Jock Support Podcast.
Go follow
Check them out. Show them some love.
Colin, the community here is ridiculously supportive. Expect some people to come follow you.
And tell them you're from Own the Chaos.
Yeah.
And tell them to start filming at the studio, not in his office.
Not next to the bathroom.
Not next to the ladies' room. Although I do love a good handicap stall. Maybe a better film. I mean, the space there is just beautiful.
Are you a shirt off shitter?
That's personal, man.
Listen, you're talking about the handicap stalls.
100%. 100%. A lot of people don't even know that ad exists, but yes, I'm 100% my whole life is shirt off.
There's hooks on the doors for a reason.
Yeah,
to hang your shirt.
I don't know how people do it. To me, it's disgusting to keep your shirt on.
Oh God, this show went off the rails, guys. We're going to be back Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we will be covering all of our expectations for earnings next week. We highly encourage you to tune in because it's going to be a jam-packed full of all kinds of shit to talk about. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and more importantly, hit that thumbs up if you like today's show. We certainly would appreciate it. And that's going to do it for me. Fat Man Zoom. Anything else?
See you next week. Bye.
Who's the crew member? Oh, they're just coming back. They're just returning.
Yeah.
AK. Welcome back.
0929.
Welcome back. See you guys.
Guys, I'm making a metaverse stock pick next week. Stay tuned. I'm buying a metaverse stock.
Ooh, Roblox. Here we come.